We are doing our first podcast today from UK/Australia, which is very exciting, isn't it?
So when you hear it us, if Anton's sounding a bit dusty in the morning and I'm feeling peppy, that's probably why. Let's debrief. Debrief with the theme of wheelchair. Talk about our successes, talk about our challenges, and together, hopefully we come up with some good solutions, good advice, and then hopefully helps everyone else listening.
So firstly, how's your day been, man? How was it?
I had some meetings in the morning about so when I was in rehab gear, I saw some products that I thought really need to come to Australia. This is what I learned today. When you have an air mattress, you can do the AB or the ABC cell cycles and it works okay, but it doesn't translate well to seated surface because the seated surface is so much smaller. So what he's done is made another cushion, which is specifically designed for the pelvis, and you can add or vent air into certain different areas as needed.
It's like AI, essentially. So it learns how the user sits and can talk to that. So anyway, the point being is that between his and hers, I think that's really cool that technology is sort of taking us that way.
It's cool when you can bring technology into, it's cool that technology evolves a bit more into the wheelchair and seating space.
Yesterday was a really cool day, actually. I had an amazing client, met for the first time, little girl, 4 years old, Lottie, and she just lit my world up yesterday. Within a minute, 2 minutes, she was driving the chair, man. She was driving.
Man, that's awesome.
Welcome to Wheelchat. Hey, Justin. How are you, brother?
Good, mate. From all over the world.
Yeah. Listen, great to have you and great to be on Wheelchat from another side of the pond. It's exciting.
I know. So good morning.
It's brilliant. Brilliant. So welcome, everyone. Welcome to Wheelchat. We are doing our first podcast today from UK/Australia, which is very exciting, isn't it? So
technology
we opened
bringing us all together.
Yeah, man. So we opened up the first 5 podcasts from doing it on my couch, which was really exciting and really lovely to have you here. And now we are unfortunately, but fortunately back in our own hometowns, but it's great to open up. And actually what's really exciting and what we were chatting about just over the last week or whatever, when we were just chatting, is we can chat about how we are and what we've been doing, because I think that's really important, that we check in and talk to each other a bit more, right?
Yes. Let's debrief. Debrief with the theme of wheelchair. Talk about our successes, talk about our challenges, and together, hopefully we come up with some good solutions, good advice, and then hopefully helps everyone else listening.
I think so, because I think that people have been sort of saying to me, I would just really love to know like how you guys get on and just, what's the challenges? Tell me how you've overcome things. And I think that's really relevant, isn't it? So it's great to open up. By the way, just for the record, everyone, because you'll be wondering, how are they making this work? Someone's in Australia, someone's in the UK, like what's going on? So my current time is 6 a.m. Your current time is
5 p.m, mate. It's just knocked off work. But this will be the regular meeting time. So when you hear it us, if Anton's sounding a bit dusty in the morning and I'm feeling peppy, that's probably why.
How does that work, man? How does that work?
Yeah.
But it's not, it is really lovely. So firstly, how's your day been, man? How was it?
Yeah. My day was great. I had some meetings in the morning about so when I was in rehab gear, I saw some products that I thought really need to come to Australia. So I actually had one of those meetings today with one of the distributors. This is actually for the air pump, that goes onto a roho. So you pumps air it vents air as needed. To go into there. So I think that's a really cool product. I'm not sure if the company I work with will specifically distribute it. We're not too fast if we do or we don't. I just want to see it in Australia. But I think it's a really good product. And he's also got some other products as well, which is awesome. This guy's named Tim. Shout out to Tim from Callagon. He's also making another cushion.
I'm going to stop that. I'm just getting excited. It's too early in the morning.
I love that. Peppy in the morning. He's also making another cushion, or he's made another cushion, which is pretty cool. It's kind of like an alternating air cushion, but unlike the mattresses, which have like a 2-in-1 or a 3-in-1 or even 4-in-1 cycle, it more does it from sections. So like when you've got a mattress, this is what I learned today. When you have an air mattress, you can do the AB or the ABC cell cycles and it works okay, but it doesn't translate well to seated surface because the seated surface is so much smaller. So when you take away one row of air cells to offload, it doesn't really work well. It doesn't pressure map well because it adds too much load on the other areas. So what he's done is made another cushion, which is specifically designed for the pelvis, and you can add or vent air into certain different areas as needed. It's all programmed in, so the air will add and vent by itself. So you'll do offloads throughout the day without the user needing to do anything. So without the need of tilt or to lean forward or to lean one side or the other, it does do offloads. And apparently from what he says, it offloads just as well as like a physical offload, like when you lean forward to get blood back into your ITs. So he's able to do that still within a cushion. So that's pretty cool. And you can even like add obliquities and things like that. So if it's got one side high or low, you could be in real time and see one side's lower than the other and just like tell the app, like, all right, put more air into that one. And then you see the pelvis balance out. So that's pretty cool.
That's cool. I've got a friend called Shiana, and she also has the same similar product that she invented. She's been working on it for like 5 years. They won the Dyson Award for design, and it's called Aergo. You need to check that out.
Aergo.
Yeah, Aergo. And it's a very similar, it's a very similar cushion that does how you've described. But she also has a backrest that has laterals, like almost like a cover, an overlay that goes over like a J or a matrix.
That's pretty cool.
Back, and it does a very similar job. It's like AI essentially. So it learns how the user sits and can talk to that. Oh, you've just shared your screen.
Oh no, this is not it.
That's not it.
Yeah, this is the power of doing podcasts over the internet. We can just share a screen. The Aergo,
check that
Aergo Health.
Yeah, that's the one.
Cool. Yeah.
There you go.
And then I think I remember you telling me about this. This is one that events. Oh, so it's got 3 different cells, and you can offload left and right as needed.
Yeah. Very cool. People should check that out. It's really cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's been working away. So yeah, anyway, the point being is that between his and hers, I think that's really cool that technology is sort of taking us that way. She's got an app. You've got an app on your phone, so you can the user can just type it in, but also the physician or the clinician, they can check in from another area like mobile and see how long's Justin been sitting for. Justin, you told me you were sitting for like 5 hours without moving, but hang on, I can see that you didn't sit on this till 8 a.m.
It's cool. It's cool when you can bring technology into it's cool that technology evolves a bit more into the wheelchair and seating space, because it seems like some of the product is a bit lacking behind. So there's more stuff coming through.
I'm really passionate about posture, as you know. So for me, I love where technology is taking us in respect to posture, postural management, what the capabilities are. Hi, Emma.
Hi, Emma.
So no, I think it's really cool. 2 cool products, definitely worth chatting about in the future. Maybe even let's get them on. Let's have a war.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, mate, Tim he'd be really good on it. Like he was actually, I think I mentioned this in my video that I made with him. He was involved in the first successful rocket re-delivery into Earth, like the Tesla rockets, the SpaceX, the first rocket that actually successfully came down. As he said, he spent more time inside that rocket than anyone else besides the astronauts. So,
and cool he wants to talk to us.
He wants to talk to us about wheelchairs. Yeah, no, he's a good guy.
That's very cool. That's very cool. Yeah, definitely. No, I'd love to get him on for sure.
Yeah. So, what about you, mate? How's your week been so far?
My week's been pretty cool so far. I mean, we're only on Tuesday, but yesterday was a really cool day, actually. I had an amazing client. Met for the first time, little girl, 4 years old, Lottie, and she just lit my world up yesterday. I've thought about her since the minute I met her at 10:30 in the morning, and we did an assessment till, I don't know, maybe it was like 1:30. It was like a 3-hour assessment. So basically, she's got a lot of hypermobility. She's dystonic, a lot of dystonic movement, and she needs a new wheelchair, right? So she's tried a power chair. She tried do you guys have the Wizzy Bug over in Australia?
Sure do. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So she's been having a Wizzy Bug for like maybe a year and a half, a year and a half, I think Mum said. And she just can't hold on to the controller. She just can't, because she can move it and then she'll just go into hyperextension and, loses control, which is very common on a lot of our cerebral palsy users or people that present how I'm describing. To cut a long story short, I think I've told you before, but we have a product called the Co-Move It head and foot steering system. specifically designed for that user. So there was a bit of postural management that we needed to put in place. So we did a seating assessment, got her on a Q300 Mini with a co-move it head control and foot steering system. And at age 4, within a minute, 2 minutes, she was driving the chair, man. She was driving.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. So what, just moving through her head, like pushing back on the head extension to go forward?
Right. So the first one, the way that we set it up was exactly that. We have 3 pads, 3 sensors. So back pad, she was able to push her head back and that would push the gas. So move forward and back, depending on the direction. And then she had a left and right pad. But she also, so she was able to do that, which was cool. However, I had this feeling that she could use her left foot or her right, but she was a bit better on her left, just from the assessment, postural assessment. So hooked up the left pad to use as the gas to go forward. And she was able to do that as well. So she didn't have to sort of hyperextend, or encourage that hyperextension. Although she didn't actually show me that she went into spasm and couldn't control it.
Yeah, it's just annoying to do in general.
Yeah, exactly. So she was able to push down with her left foot. Very subtle. I mean, these pads are unbelievable. They just pick up just ever so slight. But the difference with that is a lot of users or a lot of switches are based on the amount of power applied. So if you apply a lot of power, then a lot of acceleration is given out, right? So the amount of force that's applied determines how much speed you gain.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Whereas on the pad, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't matter whether you're applying a little bit of force or a huge amount of force. So i.e. if you hyperextend, the chair's not suddenly going to whiz off and be unsafe. It doesn't matter how much power is applied. And then on top of that, it's got artificial intelligence that it uses. So it knows that Justin drives differently to Anthony, and therefore it will learn every second how I'm driving and will conform to how I'm driving, and therefore make the drive a lot easier as the minutes go on of driving. So for her, the session just got better and better. I mean, she was chasing mum with the wheelchair. She's got a little 4-week-old brother who's in a buggy. So mum was pushing the buggy and she was like doing it. So cool, man. So cool. So I was buzzing. Like I was absolutely buzzing.
That's awesome, mate. I can imagine how amazing I love those trials when you have a real tangible impact on someone right there and then. And especially if someone didn't have mobility and now they've got mobility, that's exactly why you do it. Like, absolutely. Yeah, at 4 years old, mate. Because now they're old enough to respond, to know that they've been missing out. Like at 4 years old, they're aware that everyone else is walking and they're not. And so now you can give it to them. Yeah,
she was amazing.
That's awesome.
She was amazing.
So with the co-mover, I've never used the product before. I have seen it. I did see it at Rear Care. So
nice.
You've got a foot switch, which is just a physical, some sort of switch, right? So switch meaning there's on, off. And you can have proportional proportional controls like a joystick, and you can even have a joystick kind of thing on the footrest. But that wasn't suitable for her because she didn't have enough control. She could just move it, but she didn't have strong control of her foot. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah. So a lot of users obviously can't maintain a position or hold a position, and they can't control the amount of pressure that they apply. They can apply pressure, but they haven't got that ability to maintain or evaluate or, hold a certain amount of pressure. However, the pad is so clever. It's a sensor pad. It's not like a normal switch. So it's like a sensor pad that's much a larger surface area. So it's got areas of pickup. You know how normally on like a head array switch or something, you have to be very specific about the area that you touch, and it has to be, it takes away all that issue. So it's very, very cool. Very cool.
That's cool.
I'm telling you this in layman terms. There's lots to it. In fact,
I remember hearing
we should get somebody on.
Yeah, we should. I know exactly who to get on. When I was at Rear Care, my shirt that I wore said free hugs, and then in small writing it says and wheelchair advice. That's my Wheelie Work shirt. If anyone's seen me at an expo, and I had a guy just randomly like give me a big hug from behind, and I was like, "Who's this guy?" I turned around. I swear, do you know Heath Ledger? Do you remember the Australian actor, the Joker?
You met Mikael.
I was like, oh my god! Like he was just talking to me. And I was just like, as soon as I was with Emma, my wife, and after we finished, I was like, he was a really good looking guy, wasn't he? She was like, oh my God, he looked like Heath Ledger.
No, I know exactly. Mikael, by the way, and we'll get Mikael on, but I'm going to get the guys on because we work really closely with them in Belgium, right?
Yeah.
So Mikael is awesome. By the way, he's like a super marathon runner. Like he like won the Belgian marathon.
Really?
Yeah,
Maybe
man.
you can run to Australia then.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. He's probably going to tell me I'm talking rubbish about the Belgian marathon and it
I
was a
know.
boost.
He might be
But
like, mate, that's
but
not how the switch works at all.
yeah, but I'm as like massive. I'm a big promoter of Michael, so yeah, we'll get him on. But then there's Frederick, who's awesome. He's like the MD, and Elias, who's the inventor, is the brains behind the system.
Yeah.
He's much more than that. He's a professor. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's get them
listen,
on. But
we'll get them on. But later. But you tell me, because I could chat all day. You tell me about your week, man. So what have you been doing?
what have I done? Well, let me pick, I've just seen plenty of clients this week. If I was to pick one, I would probably pick the most recent one, which was, it come up a bit this week, which is abduction in seating. So there's some kids that need to sit in abduction, whether it be just for preventative, like for hip migration. So if a lot of people can't see it, so I won't do a demonstration, but the ball and socket joint, if you're not standing, it doesn't form properly and you can get hip subluxations quite a bit. And particularly post-surgery, we have one surgeon over here who likes his kids in a lot of abduction in sitting, which is fine, but it makes it really hard to make a wheelchair with a lot of abduction. So yeah, it's a tricky one. I had one two trials.
Just for the listeners who may not, I mean, I know we're going to have amazingly educated listeners, but let's just talk about abduction for just one sec, just so everybody is clear. And obviously people are listening, so they might not be watching us. So yeah, just explain abduction.
So whoever is sitting down at the moment, if you were to push your knees out left and right as wide as you can, that is a form of abduction. And if you go towards your body, your adduction, a deduction, that's
Correct.
adduction. You can do that standing or sitting, but in a seated position, you can imagine your knees going out. And so having that abduction means that ball in the socket joint of your hip can get deeper into that region and prevent that subluxation for kids whose muscles aren't forming properly.
People might use a pommel or something to do
but
that.
Even then, you can use a pommel, but a pommel more stops abduction. So if you're scissoring, so if you imagine trying to push your knees together, you put a pommel in between and that stops your legs. So your legs go back to neutral, but it doesn't really, it's hard to get abduction, which is beyond that. And I don't know what people do. I'd be really interested because what I do every time is go to specs and say, hey, you guys, I've got another kid who needs abduction. And they do a custom cushion for me where, say, the kid might be 14 inches wide in the hips and we want 2 inches of abduction. So it'll be 14 at the back, 16 at the front, and the pommel will be 2 inches wider. And that means that from a bird's eye view, it's like a trapezius. Trapezius shape to allow that abduction. But then you got to think, all right, well, what do you do about the footrest? Now on tilt and space chairs, like your Key Mobility or your Quickie RS, you can do what's called offset hangers, which allows the leg rest, those little metal poles coming off the seat pan, to be offset by 1 inch each. Okay, so you got 1 inch, so that allows you to do 2 inches of abduction. That's not that much. What I'm talking about, the kids who need quite a lot. And what those kids tend to do is swap the leg rest over. Is you get one swing or a leg rest, you put on the other side, and the kids are sitting with their calves resting on the hanger and the foot plates on the chair. So I hope that makes sense. But that's a current solution. Sometimes people, I don't know if you've done this, but you can request a modification for the hangers to be, rather than clicking straight. So when you swing in leg rest, they click in at a 45-degree angle. So straight being the foot plate in front of the caster wheel at a 45-degree angle would be offset. So it allows people's legs to go out wider. So those are some of the solutions out there. Do you come across that in the UK? Do you have kids that need to sit in a lot of abduction?
Oh, massively, man. I mean, that's like a daily request for us. Well, for me personally, it's something that I see a lot. And yeah, that's really interesting topic. And actually, I think we should talk about that separately, just like how we use cushions to sort of help us with different presentations. That would be something for sure to talk about. But yeah, we definitely come across that problem. And actually, we see it in a lot in static seating as well. So not just wheelchair seating, but if you're just applying it to a simple recliner chair, for instance, or something, especially in the bariatric world, for instance, where you've got, or, not necessarily somebody who's particularly overly wide, they do present wider, but their legs are maybe ordemic or demic, and their legs are a lot wider than their hips. So in principle, you have to accommodate that. And if you're only making a chair to accommodate hip width, then you're going to have a problem with the legs because they're going to like basically fall off the foot plates or the leg or the elevating leg rest or whatever you're using. So it seems quite simple, but it can be quite tricky to accommodate, right?
It is.
To get it right. Yeah.
And I'm trying to work out at the moment, I've got a guy who does some custom fabrications for me, but I'm trying to work out. So another client that I had he's on a power chair. So they need the elevated leg rest, but they also need to accommodate for abduction, which is kind of strange because you're going to be abducted and elevating the legs, but there's times where their legs are going to be neutral and they need to elevate them, and other times where they just want them abducted. So either way, we essentially have a power chair with a center mount leg rest. And I'm thinking, how do we accommodate someone for abduction? Now, we could just do a really wide footboard, but then it's massive and you're not going to be able to get through tight spaces. So I'm thinking something like a hinge foot plate where there's 2 foot plates stacked on top of each other and there's a hinge there and it folds open. So you can have it wide and then it folds back under, but not sure yet. Haven't worked it out. Have you ever done extra wide, abducted legs on a center mount leg rest?
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, we've done some cool specials where in a similar scenario, we had a calf board. I don't know if you can see me, but we had a calf board. And the calf board, so on a center mount footrest, like you were discussing, that can be sometimes quite challenging to accommodate the legs in that presentation, because clearly when you've got single foot plates, they do normally give you a little bit more width than the center mount foot plate. But the calf board, what you can do is we made one where exactly what you said, basically the calf board then flipped out, okay? But that really depends on the user being able to flip it out on their own. One of the engineers, I think, I'd need to look back on our specials library, but I think he actually made it so it didn't have to flip out. The person could pull out from underneath. They could
even better.
Pull the pad out that way. So it came out. So you had a center pad. Sorry for anyone listening. I'm kind of drawing it with my hands. That's not
Make sure you follow us on YouTube for all the visuals.
Yeah. So you have a center pad, and then from underneath, you can slide out a sliding foot plate, but on a pad that you can slide out either side. And then that gave the extra width that the user needed to accommodate the calves. And then on the foot plate itself, we had a wider foot plate permanently in use rather than having to flip it out. So that was that was something that we did for sure. So yeah.
And then what do you do for a cushion? Like, what do you do for a cushion? If someone's 14 inches wide at the hips, but they need to be abducted, what cushion do they go on?
Yeah, I use specs a lot as well. It seems like spec promotion for that one, but they are really accommodating, to be fair to them, and they can help you. But I also there's a company called Format Line here, but I think they sell the Dream Line. I think that's over your part of the world anyway. They're pretty good, and we do quite a lot of specials ourselves in Leeds where we are. We'll accommodate, we'll produce something for that. There's a few cushions. I mean, Specs have brought out the Configura Flex. That does allow you to do a bit with the actual cushion itself. So that's maybe a consideration to look at as well for you, rather than having to look at a specific special.
Yeah, I think it does. Yeah, I think the Constructor, we have the Constructor Flex. Constructor, I think it's what it's called.
Oh,
I think that's 15 degrees of abduction.
It will be the Constructor, and I'm just saying Configura. Sorry, I don't know where I'm getting Configura.
Yeah, no, that's right. I think it's 15 degrees of abduction. So that might be a good solution because that has a really nice keyhole technology where you can angle it out a bit. I can't remember if it does that as much as what this client needs, but I'll look into that before I send that script off.
Yeah, no, I mean, specials are great, but if we can use what we've got, then it's always easier, right? It gives you more of a chance on the day to tweak it or whatever. So I would do that. And then we actually we'll make a cushion if we need to. We've got some manufacturers here that we can draw and they'll just physically make what we want, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
We just
cool you guys have
want to
that?
make. Yeah, it's a cool thing that we do. But it really also depends, to be fair, that we're managing pressure. So if somebody's got a pressure issue, then we want to use a cushion that has obviously got that clinical guidance behind it. So we won't negate any of the benefits by building something. We want to make sure that it's going to protect the skin integrity as well. So with a cushion that's been through all the clinical trials, then it's not an issue, right? So it's all good. It's all good. But that's very cool. So you feel like you've overcome that issue this week, that you were able to accommodate
I want
the
to speak to a few other people. I like the idea of having things slide out. I think my issue, we're going to have to do a retrial anyway, because the client's got surgery. There was a very complex client with their knee bends to the left. So if you picture pushing on your left leg, if you get your ankle as to the left as possible, so you turn your knee in, keep doing that until it's 90 degrees. That's her knee, and it's quite fixed in that position. So There's a
Wow.
lot of, so
Okay.
just, and it's stiff, it's a straight leg as well. So I know we're going to need some sort of power adjustable leg, but how we do that after surgery, even if maybe she may not be able to tolerate elevating leg rest post-surgery, they might do something to her hamstrings. Don't know, but that's the initial thoughts.
What chair, out of curiosity, were you working with?
M3. So the reason, it was between the Quickie RS with the iExpress or a power chair. And I originally bought out the 500 Mini, the Quickie Q500 Mini, because I liked that as a compact base. It was a little girl. It's just for attendant use. So I thought, yep, good one.
Nice.
But then when I realized we might need multiple power seat functions and the family is non-English speaking background, I just think, for me personally, whenever you go tilt, recline and legs, there's a strong lean for me personally towards Permobil because it has memory seat functions. And again, because this client was non-English speaking background, it's going to be hard. I just felt like it was going to be hard for me to articulate, not in their native language. Okay, well, when they're resting, you want to go into this setting and boop, 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 and go through this setting and tilt, and then you boop, and go into recline, and then this is how you elevate the legs. You just want to be able to say, hey, push this button when you're in drive position. Push this button when she's resting. Push this button when you're transfer. Like, have those power seat functions there. So I think for me personally, anyone with lift, tilt, recline, and or power elevating legs, like if you've got all those functions, Permobil is a big favorable option for me. Okay, so that's why we went. So that's why we're going to go with that one. But we'll look at that one on the retrial.
Okay, cool. Keep us posted.
Yeah, I will. I've actually been doing a lot more posting recently. So with all these catch-ups on my the Wheelie Works page, I've been doing like this new segment called Progress Notes, which is really fun. I just come out of this session and I'll just like speak for about maybe 3 or 4 minutes about what just happened. And I'll just say, hey, I just saw a client. We were deciding between this and this, and the dad wanted this, but just catch up about appointments. I think people like case studies. I would love that. I would love it if there was another ATP in Leeds, if you want to do this, and just like a quick minute or two wrap up about what you did and then go on to your next appointment.
Well, let's do it. Let's do it here.
I'm already started, mate. So, you gotta jump on it.
I'm starting today. I'm not lying. I'm writing it down. I'm going to start today. Right?
Yeah. I try to keep mine within, like, what are the key messages that the viewer will want to hear? Like, it's not just about me talking about my day. I'm like, all right, what message did I learn from this? What did I learn? Or what do I think people get wrong often? And then like the other day I did one about not riding off a power chair over a tilt and space wheelchair with a power assist because someone can't drive a joystick. So anyone who drives as an attendant for the first time with a joystick is going to be terrible. Doesn't matter who they are. It's going to drive like hell. It's going to be terrible. So, so I just said, as a lesson to everybody, don't write someone off in the first 5 minutes. Give them some time. Understand that there's more to it. So yeah.
Okay, cool. Amazing. Well, let's get going with that. I think that's a great shout.
Let's do that for next week's session, I reckon.
Yeah. And if anyone wants to start, they want to send us in any of that, then we can pick that up and discuss it and let's chat about it for sure.
Let's do it.
So if anyone's got any problems, any challenges, I love that. Yeah. I see what you did there. I'm sure. That's cool. So I think that's probably a good chance to wrap up on this week.
Yep.
Really good to do our first podcast from across the pond. I'm really looking forward to next week. Can't wait.
Love it.
Love chatting to you, man. It's always great. And you're looking
good every week, mate. Thanks, mate. I'm married, mate, so I'm happy now. Maybe check it in 5 years and see how it's going. But right now, newly married, happy as hell, and life is pretty good at the moment.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, man. Well, look, I think we're at that time where we're going to do a bit of self-promotion. So if you want to click and subscribe, then please do so on the link through any of the social media outlets that you're either listening to us on. But this has been Wheel Chat with Anthony Mitchell and
Justin Boulos. Thank you so much, guys. We'll chat to you next week.
All right. Thanks for listening to Wheel Chat. Cheers.
Thanks, guys.